Hi, my name is Becky. I'm an alcoholic, and I've been through this process with the Big Book Step Study sponsor, loving God, many meetings like this, and all of you people. And I'm practicing the steps and the ladder steps on a daily basis. Not always perfectly, but I certainly do work on it. And I'm really happy to be here today. I'll just qualify. I think a lot of you have heard my story, but I did grow up in a very dysfunctional alcoholic home. And my early memories of my childhood are my mother drinking me, begging my mother not to drink, pouring my mother's liquor down the drain, my stepfather and my mother beating each other up, my father leaving, my mother falling down the stairs and being gone for 2 months, and people telling me that she was on a vacation. A lot of really disturbing and sad memories. And so because I think that really formed who I was, and as I got older, and I became a very odd child, and turned into a very angry teenager. And I started my first experiment with drugs and alcohol when I was 12, and decided that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I even said that, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I proceeded to make those words come true. I spent my high school years, self-seeking, dishonest, lying, cheating, stealing, drug-taking, alcohol-drinking person who I didn't care who I hurt. I married my high school sweetheart because my stepfather was yelling at my mother that I was no longer a virgin, and therefore I was a terrible person, and my mother was crying. So I thought I could protect her if I got married, and I left him because he was an alcoholic. I left him a note. And I packed up my cat, and I moved in with my alcoholic, drug addict friends, and, he's on my amends list. So then I proceeded to just drug my way through my life. Every decision I ever made was around the substance. Business decisions, financial decisions, life decisions, all of those, I just made them real quick, and then, okay, can I get that tonight? The weekend's coming, can we get that? I'm going to a party, I need this. I'm going to be home watching TV by myself, I need this, and just very sick life. And, the up all night stuff. I can even tell you stories of leaving Florida in the middle of the night with the Colombians after me and the DEA after me, and my life in extreme danger, and just left in the middle of the night. And for a long time I wouldn't publish my phone number, but that's a long time ago. So hopefully none of you from there. But I spent most of my life just for myself. And going through this process gave me the ability to see the harm that I caused, the people that I hurt, and made me realize that the 40 years that I spent, 40 years, that's a long time. And, and the process teaches me not to regret, or to, regret the past, but not shut the door on it. So, do I regret the past? Yeah, I kind of do. I regret losing those years that I could have I could have gotten more out of life, and I could have been there for my family. You know, my brother raised 5 kids. I was never around. My sister raised 3 girls. I was never around. So that part I regret. I have good relationships with all those people now, and I love them truly. And I have a good relationship with my stepdaughter and my 2 grandchildren. One of my grandchildren still does not talk to me. And that's sad, but that's the way he wants it. So I just have to let it go. Depends on what day it is, how I feel about that. My granddaughter gave me a hug the other day and said, "I love you, Nana." Those are things that makes life worthwhile for me now. And I do have a really good life now. I am there when I say I'm going to be there. I'm dependable. I try to be honest. Like the day I went to the grocery store last week, and they have newspapers on the way out. And so I grabbed a newspaper and went back to pay for it, where before I would have just taken it. What do they care? It's only a newspaper. And, but that would have been stealing, and that would have bothered me, and that would have been a step in blocking me off from my God. And those things build up. I find that if I don't, which kind of brings me into the step, if I don't take care of those things as they happen or are aware of them, then it just builds up I picture it like a little wall going up a little bit at a time, and then all of a sudden I can't see God anymore. I'm sure he can see me, but so step 10 is to me 4 paragraphs, but very strong words. And I like to start my day talking to God and ask him to help me watch for self-seeking, dishonest motives. Ask him to help direct my thinking towards what I can do for him today, which usually turns out to what I can do for another person to make their life better. Yeah, what a novel idea. And I'm not cured by any means. I have a daily reprieve. And going through this process, I did learn about the allergy, the phenomenon of craving, the peculiar mental twist, all these things that I realized, I'm a very sick person, and this is why my brain doesn't work like other people's. All our brains here in this room work the same, But I can look at someone, like I can look at my brother and his wife who don't drink, and I think they only did in college, and their mind doesn't work like mine. They don't understand me, so therefore, it's not their job to understand me. It's my job to be able to have a relationship with them on a comfortable level and not cause any harm, and maybe, have some good times with them. I'm going to visit them in September, and I'm really looking forward to it. So God has given me so much for this, for me, and I have to remember that I wouldn't be alive if it weren't for God. And I wasn't the best person. Let's face it, I wasn't, So what do I deserve now? I deserve what God wants me to have. So, step 10 is not easy, because I've got to go over and see what my part was, and was I wrong? I've got to, if someone does something that bothers me, then it's me. I have to look at me, not them. Now, I have a perfect example of step 10 today. And this started yesterday. I went to my mother-in-law's she's at the mausoleum on Hope Ave, and was a meeting up there, so my husband said, my sister wants me to go up to Mommy's grave. Would you mind going up and putting a flower there, because you're going to be right there? And I said, sure. Now, instant resentment, because he's asking me to do this and it's not in my plans. But I thought that out, and, then I did, what these steps have taught me to do. So then I was really happy about my little mission. So I went to the grocery store. I got a beautiful pink rose, and got some Scotch tape, because she's in one of those, I don't know what you call them. I call it a drawer. And her name's in the front and all that. So I went there, and on the way there, I said, oh my God, I can make amends to my mother-in-law here. I'm going to be all alone. It's a perfect time, because I, did a lot of wrong to her, and it's not about what, and this is going to be a difficult one, because I have a lot of things that, she did to me. So I put the rose on the drawer and arranged it really nice, and I took a picture because I knew my sister-in-law would want to see the picture, because she's on the Cape and can't see it. I knew she would send it to her cousin in California, and they would be happy because they saw that she had a beautiful rose. And I sat there and prayed and silently and then out loud made amends to my mother-in-law, and I left there, and I was just, thank you, God, and my husband was, I was happy to do that for him, and because while I was doing that, he was home washing my car, So we were sitting there last night, and the phone rang. It was his cousin from California, and she started yelling at him, you put fake rose on my aunt's grave. And he goes, what? And she started screaming at him, you put a fake flower, and she was yelling. I could hear her yelling, and he just hung up. Okay. So this morning, he called his sister last night, and he said, did you get the picture? And she goes, I got to go. My garlic's burning, So I knew right then that something was up with the whole situation, but okay. So this morning he calls his sister and he says, did you get the picture? He goes, Dorothea thought it was a fake flower. She goes, well, I thought it looked like a fake flower, and I'm upset that you couldn't at least buy Mommy a plant. They're so cheap this time of year. So, of course, he gets in an argument with his sister. Now, I was there for the first phone call. I said, you know what, honey? And I did my, how can I best serve thee? Thy will not be done. Sick man's prayer. This is a sick person, sick. And, I was okay with it. And I said to my husband, they're very sick people. So on my way here, he called me. She's really upset about the flower, and I told her she was a jerk, and then they were going back and forth, and I said, okay, honey, I'm sorry. She's a very sick person. And he goes, and I thought what was important that, my mother had a beautiful flower on, all this over a flower that I thought was great, that obviously they didn't. And I thought, well, what was her expectation? Did she want a nice plant? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I thought what I did was really great, and but apparently it wasn't, and that's okay. That's okay. So, and then my husband called me again when I was coming in the door, telling me he left his sister a message. She won't answer the phone, and he's not going to talk to her until she apologizes to him. And I'm thinking, wow, these people are really sick. They're really, really sick. And I'm not going to get into this. But this is a great story for today. I'm going to just remember it always as the flower story. And all these people are like whirring around and doing all this stuff. And there would have been a time where I would have been right in the middle of it. self-righteous, whatever. You know what I mean. Can't get the word out. So I am so grateful for this process because I don't have to go through all that, you know, and I hope that they all make up, which I'm sure they eventually will, but now my husband doesn't want to tell them that it was me that put the flower there. That he didn't go up there himself. And then, of course, they would be even angrier because he thinks they would say I put a fake flower there on purpose. So he's putting all these stories in his head, right? So it's kind of sad, really, that you know, they feel that way. And I hope that, you know, with time, you know, it'll be fine. And if it wasn't for this process, I wouldn't have gotten through these last couple of days. And I know it seems like, you know, it's a small thing, but it could have been a lot worse. And who knows where it could have taken me. And if I was angry about it, where my anger could have taken. Because at first, I felt that little thing right here, that anger right here. You know, and I went, whoa, can't have that. That's dangerous, you know. So, I'm just so grateful to God today. And I'm grateful to this process. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.